Betting. It's said to be as old as the human race. And now we know some people will bet on most any sport.
Last year during the pandemic, it was, table tennis in Europe.
Ping pong.
And ping pong.
With sports betting becoming legal almost everywhere, what are the odds of turning a vice into a virtue?
Was the big pitch tax revenue?
I think tax revenue is one of those things.
This week, the over-under on legalized gambling in America.
This range of open ocean is about to become the first large offshore wind project in the U.S., fast-tracked by a new administration's climate change initiative. But there may be a huge cost in the race to go green.
Right whales don't die of natural causes. They don't live to old age. Every single one of them eventually gets killed through some industrial accident.
We investigate the impact of the race to reap the wind.
And a look at America gone wild, or at least America unleashed.
That word got out to the American citizens and ready to come to Florida.
And they came in droves.
And it has just not stopped.
But it's not all bright in the Sunshine State, as the return of tourists exposes a lingering COVID hangover.
Welcome to Full Measure. I'm Sharyl Attkisson. We begin with a deep dive into a form of gambling that's sweeping the nation, sports betting. Odds are it's now legal or about to become legal somewhere near you. Sports betting brings a wide range of benefits, complications, and concerns depending on who you ask. Today we're heading out west to learn more in one of America's most robust sports wagering markets. Colorado's 3 casino towns have added a new gamble to the house collection: sports. In Black Hawk, Bally's has partnered with sports betting operator DraftKings, remodeling a big section of this casino for a whole new crowd. This was the action for this year's Kentucky Derby.
So we have 8 of these kiosks on our property.
Chris Kramer is Director of Casino Operations for Bally's Black Hawk. Our parent company, Sinclair Broadcast Group, has ownership in and a business relationship with Bally's.
So, for example, if I wanted to bet tonight on the Phoenix Suns to win that game, I could bet $20 as my stake, and my return would be $28.88.
Legal betting debuted in Colorado on May 1st, 2020. Around the time the COVID shutdowns arrived, the casinos shut their doors and most sports stopped. But mobile apps make it easy for most anybody in Colorado to place bets using their phones, and they found something to wager on.
Last year during the pandemic, it was table tennis in Europe that they were betting on because that was one of the only sports available.
Ping pong.
And ping pong. And then now one of the things that one of our better players bets on is various soccer tournaments and games around the world. That's one of his favorite things to bet on.
Ping pong, particularly Russian ping pong, generated $63.5 million in sports bets in Colorado during 2020. Right behind football, baseball, and basketball.
When the pandemic hit and they closed the casinos, they don't have to come here to set up their account. They can actually do it online. They can look at their odds online. And as long as they're in the state of Colorado, geo-fenced to the state, inside the state of Colorado, they can then make a bet.
Dan Hartman is the director of the Colorado Division of Gaming. He worked to bring medical marijuana to the Boulder State in 2010, and now sports betting, which was narrowly approved by Colorado voters in 2019.
What's the idea philosophically behind you being involved in bringing those ventures to Colorado?
I think, we as the Department of Revenue, or in our specialized business group, we get those kind of programs to come up just because they collect a lot of revenue.
Was the big pitch, in essence, tax revenue?
So I think tax revenue is one of those things, and it's also taking off of taking the black market.
Can you explain how big the offshore black market for betting was for people maybe here in America that were finding a way to gamble anyway on sports?
It's been really estimated at well into the hundreds of billions of dollars. Here in Colorado, maybe $2.5 billion, maybe more.
A 10% tax on sports gambling revenue largely goes to benefit Colorado's water department. West Virginia legalized sports gambling in 2018 with revenue going to the basic treasury.
How's it working out so far?
It's well. Our revenues are higher than expected.
Ben Queen is a delegate in West Virginia's House and chair of the Small Business and Economic Development Committee. He happened to be visiting a Bally's Black Hawk casino while we were there.
I think young people, are, especially when it comes to visiting West Virginia and choosing to live in West Virginia, you want some of that nightlife too. So it's neat for us to be able to attract some of those nightlife crowds for young people.
And where sports betting is opening up, so are new jobs.
Speaking for FanDuel alone, we're looking to more than double over the next year in size. These will be the betting counters.
Christian Janetsky is with FanDuel, an online gaming company that operates legal sports betting in 12 states, including Colorado.
And so we have, particularly in the tech space, we're fighting for high-class tech talent, like many across a number of sectors. But we have, jobs in customer service. We have jobs in legal. We have jobs in finance. We have. If you go to our job page now, there are endless postings, and we're not alone in that. That is a hiring boom that we're seeing across the sector.
Ever since the Supreme Court tossed aside a federal ban on sports betting in 2017, the game has been on a roll. 29 states and Washington, D.C. now have some form of legal sports betting. It's approved and coming soon in 3 more, and 9 additional states are considering giving it the green light. One looming concern is how many gamblers may find it irresistibly addictive. Hartman says that's baked into the equation with tools that let bettors set their own limits.
If you're having a weekend and you start to find yourself being drawn in too much, you can hit pause and really stop for a while, and the operator won't bring you back up until that time limit is run, or until you've gone past it and want to come back.
Well, the only problem is if you're an addict, you're probably not necessarily going to take yourself off.
Well, and they may go to other places, but I know that the sports books, the operators, actively look at their patrons and where they're at, and if they seem to be moving in the wrong direction, they may have one of their people call or give them a message to talk about where they're going.
Way back in the 90s, when casinos first hit, there was nobody else.
Nancy Lance was the first certified gambling counselor in Colorado. Her private practice and work at prisons and a psychiatric hospital have been loaded with addicts ever since.
Now, all these years later, sports betting has become legal in Colorado. How has that impacted the climate in your view when we're talking about addiction?
It's just like when casinos first hit. We weren't ready for it. And then all of a sudden, here we open up betting, and we didn't have enough prevention, we didn't have counselors. We didn't have the resources to take care of the people that had the downside of it.
What are some typical stories that you've seen when it comes to sports gambling addiction?
I have one gentleman, he was working from home, and for relaxation, he would, or on his breaks, he would log in and do some sports betting. And he's ended up with over $200,000 in debt. A lot of people voted for the sports gambling. Without information about the downside. I don't think there was anybody that was advertising or gave information about what the downside would be. I don't think any of the mental health counselors really knew how bad it was going to be. And then again, it was a perfect storm with COVID hitting.
For better or for worse, sports betting is proving to be a magnetic draw to many. Colorado's first year drew $2.3 billion in bets. Only a tiny slice of that ends up going to the state. After operators pay winnings and federal taxes and take deductions, The 10% tax on what's left amounted to 0.2% of the billions, about $6.6 million for Colorado's water program.
What can you tell people about the national landscape?
I think legislatures and governments are looking at it as another form of entertainment, another formal way to raise money. Certainly in any state's budget, it seems to be a good way to go.
What would be your answer if someone says, I'm worried about this?
My answer is they don't need to be worried about sports betting coming because it's already there. Sports betting has been going on in every state pretty much non-legally since the beginning of sports. To anybody that has those concerns, I would say the concerns really aren't there. This is just a better way to do something that people have already been doing.
While some insist sports betting adds to problems like homelessness, politicians in California say legalized sports betting could create revenue to help the homeless. Ahead on Full Measure, is America's answer to clean energy blowing in the wind? The Biden administration has approved America's first large-scale offshore wind power project. But for every supporter, it seems there are detractors raising questions. Lisa Fletcher takes a look at the pros and cons of reaping the wind.
2 centuries ago, New Bedford, Massachusetts was known throughout the world as the greatest whaling port and the richest city per capita in the world. All that based on the harvest of whale oil to light 18th century America. Now the city is poised for a new venture to bring light to the land through the largest offshore wind project to date. The port that once launched whaling ships will now serve to launch turbines for the wind farm. The site for Vineyard Winds is out to sea, 15 miles south of Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket. In the initial phase, up to 62 wind turbines, with a goal of producing enough energy to power up to 400,000 homes. The size of Vineyard Wind 1 is over 260 square miles of ocean. The project is the first major offshore wind project in the U.S. waters. A smaller wind farm near Block Island, off Rhode Island coast, began operating in 2016. It is a critical piece of the Biden administration's plan to grow renewable energy in the U.S. and got glowing praise during a hearing of the House Foreign Relations Committee led by Congressman William Keating, whose district will reap the proposed benefits.
The nation's first commercial-scale offshore wind farm and a linchpin to offshore wind all down the eastern coast of the United States.
The project's approval was helped by the momentum of a new administration. Timing is everything, but so is location. The Atlantic waters are very favorable for sustained winds critical to turning the giant turbines. But those Atlantic waters are also very close to 2 of the favorite summer spots for the rich and famous. Martha's Vineyard, notably in the news last summer as the spot for former President Obama's exclusive 60th birthday party. A prior project called Cape Wind fizzled when island dwellers raised protests, including Senator Ted Kennedy, who, along with other reasons, objected to having turbines obstruct the ocean horizon. The new project is pushed further offshore, but some of the old issues and concerns remain.
I think it puts a lot of fisheries at risk.
Ron Smolowitz is a former sea captain who worked for the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA as we know it.
The amount of wind farms they're proposing will displace fisheries.
Nature's pretty adaptive. What makes you think that the fish won't adapt and the migration patterns won't adapt and that fishermen won't adapt and just find the fish where they're moving to?
Well, the fish will adapt, okay. The fishermen can adapt, but they'll need funding.
From the perspective of the old men and the sea, the impending disaster could be to an industry and image that defines New Bedford. It has been one of the most productive fishing ports on the East Coast. The scallop harvest alone averages around $400 million a year. Vineyard Winds is setting up a fund, much like what you're suggesting, to compensate fishermen. Is it enough?
Nowhere near enough. I think they have a compensation fund of about $30 million, $40 million over the life of the project, which could be 30 years. So we're talking about $1 million. One scallop vessel, gross stock, is $2 million a year. And there's 342 scallop vessels, and that's just one fishery.
The balance in economies is the projected 3,600 jobs to be created in the startup phase. Congressman William Keating teased to tens of thousands of jobs in the decade ahead.
And create tens of thousands of good-paying union jobs with more than 44,000 workers employed in offshore wind by 2030.
But the Vineyard Wind project, as a startup offshore project, ran into a storm before they started the first platform, moving materials and a century-old statute called the Jones Act.
It's impossible to talk about offshore wind without mentioning the Jones Act.
That's Lars Peterson, CEO of Vineyard Wind. He canceled an interview with us, but appeared at the friendly House hearing.
Due to the infancy of the industry in the U.S., there are currently no U.S.-flagged jack-up installation vessels large enough to install the components for our first project.
The Jones Act was created to protect the U.S. merchant marine business. It mandates that all goods shipped between U.S. ports must be transported on U.S. ships. But there are no U.S. ships at present that can carry the massive platform structures to install them off the Vineyard. Until the U.S. ship infrastructure is built, parts will be shipped across the Atlantic to an installation barge and never touch an American port. The ship traffic alone from Europe to the U.S. and from New Bedford carrying the turbines to the site raises yet another concern.
Right whales don't die of natural causes. They don't live to old age. Every single one of them eventually gets killed through some industrial accident.
Mark Baumgartner is a senior scientist at Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute. The tremendous increase in ship traffic is going to mean a lot more whales are going to be hit by ship propellers, called ship strikes. That includes an endangered species, the right whale.
And that's why thinking about how we can have sustainable wind energy, offshore wind energy, and do it in a way that doesn't impact these animals is so important. The industrial activity will increase shipping markedly, both during the construction phase as well as during the maintenance phase. So we got together and built a system listening for whales, and we're doing that by listening for the sounds that the whales make.
That is the sound of a right whale. Listening and tracking in real time could provide information on where the whales are, and that could be relayed to ship captains to avoid deadly whale strikes.
You mentioned that a wind energy company paid for this buoy.
Yes.
It's just about to go into the water.
Yep.
Some people might see that as a conflict of interest with industry and science and industry paying for your equipment. Is that a conflict of interest?
Here at the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, we do two things, basically. We do science and we do technology development. So if I didn't provide this technology, I think that would be a bigger problem than managing conflict of interest issues with these companies. I understand there's a slippery slope there, but we also have an obligation to use the technology that we've developed to actually help these animals.
At least 3 lawsuits have been filed against the federal government, all over concerns that environmental reviews were fast-tracked in order to meet the Biden administration's goals for offshore wind generation. Vineyard Wind, which canceled an interview with Full Measure on its website, states it is committed to ensuring the protection of marine habitats and minimizing any impacts to the fishing industry, and has entered into a, quote, unprecedented agreement to protect critically endangered North Atlantic right whales. Coming up on Full Measure, the downside of Florida's tourism boom. More and more Americans are getting back to travel and tourism as the worst of the pandemic shutdowns seem to be in the rearview mirror. That's good news for many businesses. But Scott Thuman reports from Florida, it's bringing its own set of problems.
This has been the summer of the Great Getaway, putting some distance between social distancing and lowering the boom on those Zoom calls. The beaches and bars of South Florida filled again, a welcome sight at the Riverside Hotel in Fort Lauderdale, hosting travelers since 1936.
The leisure business has just returned in full force and then some.
Heikal Dobakro is the hotel's general manager.
That word got out to the American citizens and ready to come to Florida.
And they came in droves.
And they came in droves starting with Christmas week. And it has just not stopped.
An estimated 31.7 million people visited Florida from the start of April to the end of June, 223% higher this year than the year before, and only 2.2% fewer than the same period in 2019 before the pandemic. At Sergio's family restaurant, the lunch rush is in full swing and relying on its newest employee.
Please take your food.
This robot, the first in the state, less of a gimmick, more of a necessity, says CEO Carlos Gacetua.
A lot of restaurants down here in the state were closing 1 or 2 days because of burnout of our employees. And we saw them running around too much, and we said, you know what if we had robots that can bring the food out to them and they can spend more time with the customers.
You saved 20 miles of what? Of your servers walking back and forth?
Correct.
Enjoy.
The robot is evidence of a problem that has bedeviled the restaurant and hospitality industry all year. Not enough staff. On the lack of employees right now, where are you at?
So most of our restaurants, we're down 25 to 30% of our dining rooms that we're not able to be open. And even though we offer 401ks, healthcare plans, our wages are going up, our back of the cooks at least start around $13, $14.
Keeping potential workers away, enhanced unemployment benefits that lasted well into 2021, challenges in finding childcare, and some just felt let down when the pandemic first hit.
Some of these employees went through the difficult time of losing their jobs and being furloughed. They may have had a sour taste in their mouth on the industry, and they decided, let me try something else.
The pitch at job fairs like this one is that wages are rising, perks too, and now is a good time to start serving again. Because despite a resurgent pandemic, leaders in the Sunshine State say they're open and plan to stay that way. For Full Measure, I'm Scott Thuman in Florida.
After a break, what's ahead next week on Full Measure? Coming up next week on Full Measure, as America pulls out of the COVID pandemic and shutdowns, the economy has only gotten worse, and it's emerging as a key issue in the upcoming midterm elections.
I think this could be an adverse energy supply shock.
What's ahead for you and where the experts differ and surprisingly agree? Until then, we'll be searching for more stories that hold powers accountable. Thanks for watching. I'm Sharyl Attkisson.